Welcome to Biology Form 3, Topic 1, where we are going to look at plant structure and function. My name is Bellington Kamisa. I'll take you through the topic on plant structure and function. This topic has got specific objectives. A specific objective that you have to achieve at the end of the day of the topic. By the end of this topic, you must be able to describe plant structure and functions. Now let us look at photosynthesis. So we have to define this term, photosynthesis. When we look at plant structure and function, we are looking at how are the plants now trying to make their own food and other things. But now, before that, this photosynthesis process, we need to know where it is taking place. So let us look at the term plant. What is a plant itself? Because mainly photosynthesis takes place in plants. So now we are define the term plant now. So you can see that a plant is a multicellular organism that has chlorophyll. So it's a multicellular organism. When we talk of multicellular, it means it's a living thing with so many cells. So an organism is composed of many cells. That's why we say a multicellular organism, which is adapted to live either in water or land. So you can find plants in water as well as land. So that's the habitat for most of the plants. So water and land are taken as the habitats for the plants. So we are saying plants are dominant living things. Why? They can make their own food. So we are saying, why are plants dominant living things? They are capable of making their own food, and at the same time they are surviving. So we are saying plants are dominant because they synthesize, they manufacture. To synthesize means to manufacture or build food for other living things. So that's why we are saying plants are able to survive. So this type of nutrition, where the plants are making their own food, is called autotrophic nutrition. So the plants are called the autotrophs. But now we have other living things. We have animals that are feeding on plants. And these animals are called the autotrophs. The type of nutrition we call it heterotrophic nutrition. So because the animals are feeding on plants, now the animals are said to be the heterotrophs. They are heterotrophic nutrition is a type of nutrition where the organisms, animals, feed on already made what? Food. The food is already made. That's what we call the heterotroph. So we are talking of two terms here. We talk of the autotrophic organisms and we talk of heterotrophic organisms. So heterotrophic organisms, we have said, are animals that feed on already made food. We call them the heterotrophs. Autotrophs are plants that are making their own food. Let us look at the plant organs and their functions. Basically, here we see a lot of organs here. In general, as the whole plant has got the organs and their functions. So we have the leaves. The leaves are having the epidermis, which will see its functions, what it is performing. The epidermis, the uppermost layer. So it has also its function. But we have the leaves, we have the fruits. Here we have the flowers. These are the flowers here. Then we have the stem. We have the roots here and the internodes, all those. So these are the main plant organs and their functions. But now we look at their functions. When we look at flowers, these are the reproductive organs for the plants. So they are used for reproduction. So when these flowers are fertilized, now the plants will start producing these fruits that you see. You and me and the other animals can enjoy. Basically, we have also the leaves. The leaves is the photosynthetic systems where the main photosynthetic system takes place. So it's the main site for photosynthesis. So we have leaves where photosynthesis is taking place. Then we have the stem. The stem, we can see that this part here is a stem. Now it is trying to hold the leaves, as well as it is also supporting the fruits there. Now the roots here, we see that they are fixed. The whole plant is well anchored by the roots. And at the same time, apart from anchoring the plant, the roots can also absorb water plus mineral salts, which are transported to different parts of the plant for photosynthesis to take place. So in the overview, that's what we can say about the plant organs and their functions. Then the stem is mainly supporting the leaves as well as the fruits. The stem can also be used as a photosynthetic site of photosynthesis, because some parts of the stem look green. And at the same time, the stem is also holding the leaves. I have already said that it's there to support all that. At the same time, the stems can also transport water, because it contains the vascular bundle. The vascular system is contained in the stem, and which is probably has got two tissues: the xylem, which transports water, and the phloem, which transports food which is made from the leaves and is transported and stored in the fruits, and some food substances are stored in the roots here under the ground. Now let us look at each and every part of the plant. We have the roots, as I said earlier on in the diagram. These roots are usually found under the ground. So roots are always found under the ground. Now, what are some of the functions of the roots now? The roots, we have said that they hold plants in the soil. One, they absorb water and mineral salts from the soil for food making process. So basically, the roots are there to absorb water and other mineral elements that are very vital in the process of photosynthesis. Because we say we have nitrogen as a mineral element, which is transported in soluble form. And this one is required to produce green matter in the leaves. So we have also acts as a storage organ for food made in leaves. We said that the food is made in leaves but is transported to tubers. These storage organs could be the tubers. For example, cassava. After the leaves have basically photosynthesized, the food, the glucose is quickly changed to transported to roots, where it is now converted to starch. So the starch can now be stored in the tuber. So therefore, the roots act as a storage organ. Then we have also stems. Some stems are found under the ground, some not. So again, we are saying some plants have erect stems, others have creeping stems. Like creeping stems, we talk of sweet potatoes and others. So we have those that creep. We have erect stems that can stand perpendicular to the ground or can stand upright. Yeah, these are the stems that can stand upright. We call them the erect stems. Yeah, so now we go to the next. Now let us look at stems in plants perform a number of functions. So what are the functions of stems? Now we are saying stems support. They provide support. So we can say stems provide support. It is there to hold flowers, fruits, and leaves in position so that they are well positioned in the space. So we have also transport tissues. As I said, the stems have got what we call the vascular bundle, and this vascular bundle has got what we call the transporting tissues. Namely, we have the xylem, which transports water plus mineral salts to leaves and food from leaves to all parts of the plant. So you can see that the xylem tissue can transport water, which is a required element for the process of photosynthesis. Now we have again the stems are used as a storage organ. So we have different examples. Stems store the food manufactured from photosynthesis. For example, we have baobab. We have also sugarcane as an example of the plants that can store food in their stems. Yeah, so you enjoy sugarcane everywhere. People are consuming sugarcane, so you can see that stems are really storing the food. Now let us look at photosynthesis. Basically, we said partly the stems are also used for photosynthesis, which means this one is evidenced by presence of chlorophyll. So presence of chlorophyll is a sign that the stems can also carry out the process of photosynthesis. That's what it is. Now, where exactly in plants does photosynthesis take place? So, as the whole, we have areas where the plants are manufacturing the food. Not all areas you find that photosynthesis is taking place. So, photosynthesis takes place in specific areas. We have the leaf. So, photosynthesis takes place in the leaf mainly. Apart from the leaf, we have said that photosynthesis can also take place in the stems. Yeah. Now let us look at it. We have said that now the photosynthesis takes place in the leaf, and here we have the structure and function of the leaf. When we look at the structure, we are looking at anatomy of the leaf, anatomy and physiology of the leaf. That's what we are looking at. We are looking at what structures, what parts are having the internal as well as external features of the leaf. So here we have the cross section of the leaf. Now, if you can see, we have the stomates, we have the waxy cuticle, which is now the upper epidermis. So we have the upper epidermis, which is the upper epidermis comprises of the epidermal cells. So these are taken as the epidermal cells. So now we have this layer now, the whole of this layer is taken as the Palisade Mesophyll layer. So the Palisade Mesophyll layer contains these cylindrical cells, the Palisade cells. So the composition of the Palisade Mesophyll layer has got the Palisade cells, which have got many features for photosynthesis to take place. So now, apart from the Palisade mesophyll layer, we have this layer again, which is taken as the spongy layer, the spongy mesophyll layer, which consists of the spongy cells. And indeed, these are what we call the spongy cells, which are like spherical cells in shape. So we'll see that now these layers, then down there we have the epidermal, lower epidermal layer again. This layer lower, this layer here, the upper epidermis. So now we are going to look at partially the importance of this, internal structure, transverse section of the leaf. Now we have the cuticle, which reduces water loss. This cuticle, so in some plants, it depends on the species of the plants. In some plants, desert plants, especially those plants that survive in deserts, have got thick cuticle to minimize water loss. But those plants that are growing in the hydrophytes, in fact, they have their very thin cuticle to manage water loss, to manage water uptake. That's what it means. Now we have also the Palisade layer. Now the Palisade layer, as I said, has got these cylindrical cells. They are cylindrical in shape. Now you can see that the nature of the cells here are columnar. They are in a column form, and at the same time we see that these cells are consist of a lot of chloroplasts. There are high concentration of chloroplasts, providing an evidence that's a main site for photosynthesis. So this layer here, the Palisade mesophyll layer, is well adapted to carry out photosynthesis by having a wide range of chloroplasts. So these chloroplasts can help to trap a lot of sunlight energy. You know, photosynthesis usually is driven by sunlight energy or solar energy. Now, we are saying the Palisade mesophyll layer is adapted in a number of ways. One, the cells are highly compacted. They're very close together. There are no spaces here. And you can see that the cells are also having a lot of chloroplasts, providing a suitable condition for photosynthesis to take place. So you can see that now this layer is very close to the epidermis, and it is always, it can move. It has that ability of moving close to the surface of the leaf for easy sunlight penetration. Now you can see that this now spongy mesophyll layer, the cells are irregular. Some are spherical in shape, but in general the cells are irregular and they are spaced far apart. You can see there are intracellular spaces here to allow air circulation. So these spaces are there to allow gaseous exchange. The oxygen produced in these Palisade mesophyll cells diffuse into the intracellular spaces, and they will come out through the stomata. Now on the upper epidermis, we have the stomates again, and down there below the lower epidermis, we have also the stomates, which allow gaseous exchange to take place, can allow carbon dioxide to enter the leaf. This one is a stomate and can allow carbon dioxide to enter and reach the Palisade cells here, where it is used as a raw material for photosynthesis. Now you can see that these spongy cells are irregular in shape. Some are spherical as compared to these that are cylindrical in shape. That's what we can say in brief. But very little photosynthesis is also taking place within the spongy cells. So you can see spongy cells are similar, slightly similar to this in sense that they both contain, they are all having the chloroplasts. So, but little amount of photosynthesis is taking place in the spongy cells. So we'll look these in particulars in the next slide. Now we said that the stomates, which are the these are basically the structure, the openings. These structures are having the guard cells that are controlling the opening and closing of the stomata. So now here with me, I have the structure of the guard cells. So here we have the stomata opening is here. Now we have these are taken as the guard cell. The whole of this one is taken as the guard cell, and then this guard cell is having the chloroplast now. So we have flaccid guard cell. This one is a flaccid one, meaning to say it has lost water. So if the guard cells have lost water, they become flaccid, meaning they become very weak and they shrink in shape, therefore closing the stomata. That's why this stomata now is closed. Now we have a closed stomata, and the whole of this is a guard cell, and these structures are the chloroplasts. Yeah, so here the same. This is a touched guard cell, meaning that the guard cell has gained water and it becomes like a bean shaped, so that now the opening from stomata is this hole, an opening. Yeah, so the guard cells are there to control the opening and closing of the stomata, which is a stomatopore. So the main function of this hole, when it is open like this, it allows a lot of carbon dioxide to diffuse into the cell so that it can be used as a raw material for food making process. At the same time, now when photosynthesis has produced oxygen comes out through the same opening. So that's why in summary we say it is used for gaseous exchange. So this one is a thick cell wall to prevent the guard cells from bursting when it becomes touched. Now, where exactly in plants does photosynthesis take place? So as the whole, we have areas where the plants are manufacturing the food. not all areas you find that photosynthesis is taking place. So photosynthesis takes place in specific areas. We have the leaf. So photosynthesis takes place in the leaf mainly. Apart from the leaf, we have said that photosynthesis can also take place in the stems. Yeah. Then we have also organs as flowers, as we said on in the diagram, that these are reproductive organs for the plants. When flowers are fertilized, fruits are formed, which are enjoyed by animals. Now, functions of upper and lower epidermis, we have already looked at the structure, internal as well as external. So the functions of the lower epidermis there to protect the inner parts of the leaf from physical damage. Some of the lower and upper epidermis are hair in structure. These hairs may help to scare the insects, therefore protecting it from physical damage. They have cuticle, which prevents leaf from drying by minimizing water loss. They have stomates for gaseous exchange. The lower epidermis allows light to enter the leaf, hence no chlorophyll. So because the lower epidermis has few, almost no chloroplast, this will allow light to enter the leaf. Then we have the Palisade mesophyll layer, which is the main function is to carry out food making process, which is called photosynthesis. So its main function is to carry out photosynthesis. That's the Palisade mesophyll layer, and this layer, Palisade mesophyll layer, contains the Palisade cells, which are having high concentration of chloroplasts, which in turn accommodate a lot of chlorophyll, which trap light, necessary condition for food making process. We have the spongy mesophyll layer, which have irregular shaped cells. As I said, cells are loosely packed to give large air spaces, and these air spaces can help to keep some air which might be used by the plant. The spongy mesophyll layer contain less chloroplasts compared to the Palisade cells, as I said earlier on. So this one has got less amount of chloroplasts. And because they have less chloroplast, means there is little amount of chlorophyll, and therefore this results to a little chemical processes, little amount of chlorophyll photosynthesis taking place. So there is less photosynthesis taking place in the mesophyll layer. Functions of the spongy mesophyll: it is a site for photosynthesis, it is a site for gaseous exchange. Remember, it is having some intracellular spaces. The cells store the starch made during photosynthesis. So the cells that are contained in the spongy mesophyll is there to actually store starch. Then we had the vascular bundles in the leaf. These vascular bundles contains two main transporting tissues, which are xylem as well as the phloem. Now, the xylem functions of the vascular tissues. The xylem transports water and mineral salts, which are necessary elements for photosynthesis, and water is used as a raw material for photosynthesis. Then we have the phloem, which transports organic food, which is made in leaves, to different parts of the plant, and we call that one translocation. So the food is translocated from leaves to different parts of the plant, where it is used for the plant itself for respiration. You know, respiration is a chemical process which requires glucose to generate energy, which is used for cellular activities, like active transport is one of them, which requires the energy. So we have xylem provide support. Apart from transporting issues, the xylem can provide support to the plant because it is having a tough carbohydrate, which is lignin. So lignin, the walls of the xylem are lignified, while that of phloem are not. So that's what we can note. But lignin is a polysaccharide. It's a polysaccharide. Now we have seen that leaves are the main sites for photosynthesis, but how are they suited to perform their functions? And that's why in this slide we are going to concentrate on adaptations, suitability. How are the leaves are suited to perform, to carry out what? Photosynthesis. So we have the first one, we have leaves have stomats. Remember when I was looking at the lower and the upper epidermis are concentrated with the stomats, but generally most of stomats are high in concentration on the lower epidermis than on the upper epidermis. The reason is to minimize water loss. So basically the stomats are used for gaseous exchange. Remember, carbon dioxide is used as a raw material to carry out photosynthesis. Minus carbon dioxide, zero photosynthesis, no photosynthesis taking place. The second one is that the leaves are having guard cells that are surrounding the stomats. And these guard cells, their function is to control opening and closing of the stomats, therefore allowing carbon dioxide and oxygen, which is produced during photosynthesis, to diffuse out of the leaf as a byproduct of photosynthesis. In fact, a byproduct is a product which is produced besides the main product. So oxygen is a main byproduct of photosynthesis and is produced during what? Photosynthesis. Presence of, we have said that now the guard cells are controlling the opening and closing of the stomats. When stomats have carried out photosynthesis, they will have produced a lot of sugars. The guard cells are also photosynthesizing. So when they produce a lot of sugars, they will have less water osmotic potential than the surrounding epidermal cells. So these epidermal cells will lose water to the guard cells. Most water will move from epidermal cells to the guard cells, where now these guard cells will be touched, will budge, will become touched, therefore opening the stomats. But now when they lose water, when photosynthesis stops, it means the guard cell, the epidermal cells will have more sugars compared to the guard cells, and this water will start moving from guard cells to epidermal cells. Therefore, the guard cells will be flaccid, therefore closing the stomata. Now remember we are looking at adaptations of leaves for photosynthesis. Now they contain chloroplasts. Chloroplasts have got chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll is there to trap sunlight, which is a necessary condition for food making process, which is called photosynthesis. So they have large air spaces. These are large spaces. The leaves have large air spaces, especially in the spongy mesophyll, which is used for gaseous exchange or for gas diffusion. Leaves have vascular tissues. For example, in particular, we have the xylem. So in the main midrib, we have the vascular tissue, which is the xylem, which is now branching into the veins in the leaf, which is distributing water to the leaves for food making process. We have again the phloem. Once the food is made from the leaves, it is transported to different parts of the plant where it is used by the plant itself, and some of the excess food is stored in tubers, which you and me we enjoy. We have said the photosynthesis, food made during photosynthesis is obtained from leaves to the roots through the phloem tissue. So xylem transports water and phloem transports organic foods made from the leaves. So the leaves have cuticle, which prevents drying by minimizing water loss and the infections of the leaf. Sometimes the pathogens can penetrate the leaf. Let us look at adaptations of the Palisade mesophyll for capturing more light. How is the Palisade layer adapted to capture more light energy? So the solar energy is trapped by the chloroplast, so which means they contain a lot of chloroplast. The Palisade layer contains a lot of chloroplast, therefore capturing more light. So the second one, cells have a columnar or cylindrical shape, hence more cells can be closely packed. So it is located on top of the leaf. So this layer is close to the surface of the leaf. We are now exposing the leaf to light, therefore capturing more light. So the chloroplasts have a tendency to move towards the light. This tendency to move towards the light, biologically, we call it the photonasty. Photonasty is a nastic movement. Now, when you go in Form 4, you look at the nastic responses in plants. Where I look at nastic responses are responses that they are movement made by plants, but not in relation to the direction of the stimulus. That's nastic movement. So the tendency of the Palisade layer to move towards the surface of the leaf is called photonasty. Plants, the plant is moving the whole part of the plant, the whole part toward the surface. So this movement is called photonasty. That tendency of moving, the Palisade layer can move close to the surface of the upper epidermis, therefore exposing itself to maximum light energy or solar energy. So I already explained that this movement is called nastic movement in plants, but is called photonasty. Photo means light. Nasty is movement made by plants towards light, but not in relation to the direction of the stimulus. Then you also look at tropisms, where these will depend on the direction of the direction of the stimulus, or where the stimulus is coming from. So hold your patience. Thus, we end with an exercise. Here we have the exercise which you have to go through and provide a feedback once you have gone through the very same. Before that, remember that we have gone through the process of photosynthesis. We have looked at the structure of the plants, the leaves, the stems, the flowers. We have also looked at the cross section of the leaf, the internal, inside, the internal layers, the external. We have the epidermis. We have the spongy mesophyll layers. We have all what have you. So we have several parts, and now we have ended. We have looked at the adaptation of the leaf to carry out photosynthesis. We have also looked at how each one of these internal parts are also adapted to perform their function and their function as well. So here I will leave an assignment which you respond. An exercise, you have to define the term photosynthesis. You have to state the main site for photosynthesis. You have to explain how the Palisade layer is adapted to its function. You have to state any 4 plant structure and their function. Number 5 is a diagram which showing a leaf under the microscope. So this one is a leaf, and then you have to identify these labeled parts, these ones. So you have to identify these labeled parts. You have to name the parts B and C. Then where in the diagram should the process of photosynthesis take place? So name the 2 functions of the structure shown above the figure. How are the magnesium and nitrogen important? Functioning of C. Then explaining the SF form NA5 adaptation of a leaf for photosynthesis. So basically, I would demand your feedback. For today, let us pause there. But now, basically, in the next lesson, we'll look at the process of photosynthesis now. Before we look at that, we have to look at the process of photosynthesis itself. How is it carried about? So let us wait for the next lesson.